Welcome to the Fantasy Baseball Beat, part of the Pitcher List Podcast Network. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Torres. I'll be your host today. On today's episode, we are going to be discussing a team that I've told my kids they are not allowed to become a fan of. They could become a fan of the Mets, the Phillies, the Sacramento A's, the Savannah Bananas. I don't care. But they are just not allowed to become a fan of the Boston Red Sox, period. Thankfully, my kids seem to be going down the right path and are becoming Yankees fans. But anyway,
I don't know if that's the right path or not. I'm not sure.
It is the right path.
It's a path.
Yeah. Way to put it, Dave.
All right. But anyway, we're going to be talking Boston Red Sox today. We'll be bringing on Chris Cotillo, a friend of the podcast. He is the Red Sox beat writer for MassLive.com. But first, we'll switch things up a little bit this week. We're going to be doing our fantasy focus segment first, and then we'll be doing our interview in the second segment. So for that, I will be bringing in my co-hosts here, Mike Carter and Dave Funnell. Mike, I'm going to start with you. How was your fantasy week, and how are things shaping up for you as we get down to the home stretch of the season here?
Man, I'll tell you, it has been really an up and down type of season. I've had kind of a weird year with some of my teams. My home league team, I beat a higher seed to get into the next round of the playoffs, and then I'm actually winning this week as well with some smoke and mirrors. Pulled some pitching histrionics and got lucky in a couple places. So if I hold on there, which I think I can, I'll be in the championship next week for that. And Glarf, I'm right in it. It's like I'm not going to win, but I could finish in the top 5, which is always my goal in that league. And I'm at 6th right now, kind of going neck and neck, back and forth. There's about a glob of about 4 or 5 people that are kind of all trading places. So any day I could be 4th or I could be 7th. It's just hard to know how that's all going to go. But man, I tell you, I had got pedal to the metal, using all of my FAB budget. Just milking every last drop out of it, trying to get into that top 5 and be in there. So yeah, I got a chance to win a couple of flags here, it looks like. But not necessarily the ones I would like to win. Let me put it that way.
All right. Mixed bag there. I like what you say, your pitching histrionics. Are you like the Detroit Tigers of fantasy with the pitching chaos that they like to do?
It's weird because what ended up happening for me, I was kind of sharing with you guys. We have 9 starts max per week, and I've figured out some ways to augment there by having guys like Keegan Aiken who are getting save opportunities in Baltimore, even though they're scary ones at times. Getting 8 or 9 points in the save there twice a week is really helpful and augments what you're doing with your pitching. I also have Chase Burns that was on my IL when he came off. I didn't know what his role was going to be. I decided to keep him, and he's helped out in a couple of places as well. So I have my regular RP, and then I've got 2 other guys that are serving as RP. I'm just hoping that I can piece together a few more starts. The guy that I'm playing has already used 6 of his 9, and I'm beating him by 50 points. So I still have 6 to go. So I'm hopeful. We'll see how that plays out.
All right, good stuff. Dave, how about you? How has this fantasy week been for you?
This week's been kind of intense. For my one home league, I'm up against a good friend of mine, and we're aiming for second. We can't come in first, and I think one of us is going to come in second and the other third. And it's just, we keep messaging each other back and forth. It's as much for money as it is for bragging rights here. And we're picking up like the deepest of the deep. Like I'm picking up, I picked up every Rocky and Marlin I could for the last couple of days. And we're picking up, we're looking for efficient innings. Mike, tell me if you ever heard of this guy. Today I picked up from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Christian Mlodzinski.
Carmen,
sorry, Carmen, my mistake.
Yes.
Okay, Good. All right. Like,
you're digging deep.
This is where we're at. He beat me to the wire to pick up Hogan Harris. So I had to go get Mlodzinski. That's where we are.
Hogan Harris got a save today, so that was a pretty good move. Jeez. Yeah. You guys, you're not messing around. That is digging super.
Yeah, that's sick actually when you think about it. like you're walking around thinking, man, I just made a great move. I picked up Carmen Mladzinski and the other guy's got Hogan Harris. You're like, what are you doing with your life, man? You know, it's like, what are we doing
You need
here?
to ask some questions.
We actually asked ourselves those questions. We said
But
we're at this point in our lives right now.
Thank God we have each other, guys, because there was nobody else walking the streets of the towns that we live in who would understand. There's a couple guys in Batavia where I live that would understand it, but I mean, the level of which we are depraved to do this is pretty high.
Yeah, that's why it's great when you meet people, like especially like going to First Pitch last year. Like that was, I told you after, like that was what was so cool about it. You meet people and actually like they're on your level, like their sickness is as bad as yours, and you could have like a really in-depth conversation. Whereas, yeah, most people just look at you like you are a lunatic, which we are, at least myself. Yeah, guys, I am. You know how you like to put out that picture on Twitter, the Dead Inside shirt that you wear,
Yes, sir.
Mike, and I can very much relate to that. Made a terrible move yesterday. I feel like I just need to I need to get this out there. I don't, it won't make me feel better, but I just have to tell somebody. I'm battling in my main event, and it's a crazy, one of the craziest leagues I've ever been a part of. Like the top 5 of us in that league are so closely bunched together. It's moving every day. Like an at bat will change someone from like 4th to 2nd. It's crazy.
Jeez.
And I made a terrible move. I started Ryan Weathers in Coors, and this was not a mistake. This was me. Sometimes I do this, and I know this is a weakness in my game. I do this thing where I think I know better, and I like get a little too cute with things. And I'm like, the Rockies have been terrible lately. Ryan Weathers came back and looked really good, and it just I overthought it, and I started Ryan Weathers over Ian Seymour, who ended up pitching 7 shutout innings against the Blue Jays yesterday, which like that move alone, like what I told you, how close things are, just that one move dropped me. I think I'm 4th or 5th, and I probably lost 4 points in standings just based on that start. And that was such a big blow to my team here. So I'm hurting over that one. I'm trying to just shake it off. I got a week and a half left here, but I have a feeling I'm going to look back and be like, one move could have been the difference of quite a lot of money. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, enough about us. We're going to get into the team that we are focusing on this week. Like I said, it's the Boston Red Sox. And like we've done the past few weeks, I've given you guys this question. I mean, we're already looking ahead to next year. Many people are, either they're already thinking about, the next season. So I've asked you guys, who from each of these teams we've been discussing are you most interested in for 2026? I'm going to ask you that same question for the Red Sox. Dave, you have an answer that I was like, when you texted this name to me, I was like, oh, but you said you're going to make a case. I'm going to give it to you first. Which player do you want from the Red Sox next season?
All right. I will do my best to make a case here. It's Rafaela. I know the StatCast is ugly, but listening to what you guys said to me last week, it's not always about the StatCast, and we get too hung up on that. So keeping that in mind, he's been bad the last little while, and maybe he's just not a late season player, because as of October 4th, once he got there, he was 14 home runs, 15 steals, 267 hitter. And since then, he's been admittedly more aggressive. He's falling behind in the count. He's doing things that he hadn't been doing. No idea why. But I feel like if he can fix that, and if they can fix that in the off season and maybe find a way to endure a long season, he might have himself a 2020 floor. Over his career, he's 257 in the first half. He's 223 in the second half. Over his career, he's a 253 hitter in May, 293 hitter in June, 287 hitter in July. The other months, they're terrible. But maybe he is somebody whose ADP will be pretty low, where you can either buy and stash, or you can trade for in the midseason, knowing that he's just a slightly slow starter. You can capitalize on that and maybe trade him away before he falls again.
Okay. I'm not convinced, but I'm going to
I was just going to say, I could just see the look on Chris's face. I knew you didn't convince him, Dave. You didn't win him over.
I tried.
Let me give this to you, Mike, because I have my thoughts, but this idea, basically what you're saying, Dave, is that he is not a second half player. So if that's something, if it's even a real thing that they can fix, that they can make him, I guess, more durable throughout the season, I don't know. Like, let me just throw this to you, Mike. Do you believe in that? Do you believe there are such things as first and second half players? And, is there anything to take away there?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it makes for a nice story. It makes for, a good discussion point, but I don't really think that that's true. I mean, I think guys do get tired over the course of the season. These guys are playing every day. Some of them are playing 6 days a week. Some of them playing 7 days a week. I've never really bought that narrative too much. By the way, I would like to also point out to those of you that are not able to see this right now, I'd like to point out that Chris is drinking a Capri Sun, and crushing a Capri Sun.
Today I've got a moon punch. I've never had this flavor.
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
It has a picture of the moon. It's a weird thing. The logo is the moon, and it has a flag on it that says New Moon. I don't know why, because it's a wild cherry flavor with other natural flavor juice drink blend from concentrate. Basically, I have no idea what I'm drinking right now, but I like
2 cups of sugar, baby. 2 cups of sugar.
That's right. I might as well. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I don't believe in that, but I do believe in your moon punch. Go for it.
All right.
You do you.
I believe in the moon punch. Yeah, I mean, I don't really believe in the first half, second half stuff either. I think sometimes it comes down to variance. And I think with Raffaello specifically, just pulling up his first half versus his second half splits here, the main difference is that he's gotten pretty unlucky on with his batting average on balls in play in the second half. The first half, it was 303. Second half, so far, it's at 230. So, that can pretty much explain a lot of the difference in terms of his surface numbers. The other thing I think applies to this discussion, we talked about Michael Harris a few weeks ago when we had our Braves episode. And Ceddanne Rafaela falls in that category of player that in like a Michael Harris in terms of his chase rate. Rafaela for the season is above 40% in terms of his O-swing percentage. And I think with these players, as we're seeing with Michael Harris, because he's in another slump, right? He started off terribly, was probably the hottest player in baseball for a period of time, and now he's been terrible again for weeks. I don't know if he has a hit since we spoke about him on our episode. Like every day I look, he's 0 for 4, 0 for 3 with it's terrible. Yeah, I think that's just part of the challenge of rostering these kinds of players is that they go into these slumps where variance doesn't go their way and it gets really, really ugly. And I didn't really have interest in Rafaela heading into the season. At one point I was kind of like, well, maybe I should have. And, I know he had that one really hot stretch and then it's been really nothing here in the second half. So I don't know. He'll probably, I think this past year he was going between like 150 and 200 ADP, if I'm not mistaken. The end of the season numbers will probably be okay. And I think he'll slot in around that range again. But probably not a player that I will be too interested in here. All right, let me pass it to Mike. Who is a player for you, Mike? Which Red Sox player are you most interested in heading into next season?
I am extremely interested in Roman Anthony. I know that might seem like not much of a stretch to people who are listening, but if you take a look at his StatCast page and look at what's going on there, there's a lot of that really deep blood red that we like to look at. And I really like the changes that he was making before he got hurt. He's out with the oblique injury right now. The one thing that I'll say about Anthony that with a grain of salt is we're going to have to really watch that K rate. The strikeout rate looked at a couple times, looked like it was starting to kind of become troubling. It's at 27.7% for the season, but before he got hurt, he had gotten up into the 32, 33%. And that's getting a little bit scary territory. However, if you look at what he did post All-Star break, he hits righties and lefties equally well. He's 21 years old. There's a lot of room for growth here. Because of the fact that he does hit both righties and lefties well, that he's not going to be a platoon guy. It looks like he could be a superstar. After the All-Star break, he was hitting .311 with 6 home runs and 19 RBIs, and had scored 29 runs while batting at the top of the order before he was hurt with the oblique injury. Before the All-Star break, he had 2 home runs, 13 RBIs, and was hitting .264. I think you're going to see more running from him too. I don't have any data to really back that up, but this was a player who was stealing bases at a more precipitous clip in the minor leagues. I think he's got the talent to put it all together and get to that next level. There might need to be a trade there for that to happen. I'll be interested to hear what Chris has to say about that. There's been a lot of rumors that Jarren Duran would be somebody that they might move, although I really kind of feel he's the heart and soul of that team in a lot of ways. I don't know if that would be something that they would be doing. They got to find a place for Anthony to play every day when he's ready to play, and I think that they will. He's been really impressive in this short stretch of games here for them. Definitely somebody that I'm looking to next year. The question I would ask you guys is, where do you see him being drafted? I know it's way too early to even really know, but where would you think that he might be starting to get drafted in NFBC drafts?
Well, thankfully, we had that one really early draft that was done a couple of weeks ago, and I just pulled that up to see. I cheated a little bit. I should have given my guess and then looked. But all right, let me give it to you, Dave. What do you think? What do you think his ADP was in that first draft? This was what mid?
I'm going to guess that it came across where Jackson Merrill was being drafted this year. So I think wasn't Merrill in the second? Was he the second or third round pick?
Yeah, he was like middle of second round.
Yeah, so I'm going to guess that.
Okay, so a little later, Roman Anthony was at pick 45.
Okay.
So end of the third round in a 15-teamer. I think I'd have to look at the dates exactly to see. I mean, he had the injury not too long after this draft was held. But I feel like he's one of those guys he's going to get a lot of helium.
Yeah,
over the offseason. I mean, if you look at, like you were saying, Mike, the StatCast looks great. The quality of contact looks incredible. 60.3% hard hit rate this season, according to StatCast. Of 15.5% barrel rate.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't chase with a 22.6% O-swing percentage. I mean, everything looks solid. Like you said, the actual contact has been a little bit of an issue with a 27.7% K rate. But when you're getting this level of, this type of fantasy juice from a player, he's going to, and being the number one prospect in baseball, he's going to get a ton of helium. So I think you're right, Dave. I think he will settle in that like middle to end of second round as we head into drafts next season.
Do you guys think we'll get some sort of Jackson Merrill type regression, like with all the hype of bringing him up and then he just doesn't perform? Are you worried maybe with that K rate, or is this something that's more like he can push through and just be, what we all think he can be?
He's a different player than Merrill, I think. And I'm not saying that makes it more or less likely that he's going to perform up to expectations. But, I mean, Merrill was more of like a contact-oriented guy. Whereas Anthony, I mean, I feel like a lot more fantasy juice with him. And the quality of contact is better. So, okay. I mean, sure, it's possible that, that he kind of like the league figures him out and there's an adjustment period. But I think if he settles in that like end of second round range, I think he's someone that I would take the gamble on at that point. Yeah. What say you, Mike?
Yeah, I think he's a better player than Jackson Merrill, Dave. I mean, you look at you look at the StatCast stuff. I mean, his quality of contact, like Chris said, is just way better. And Merrill had some of that regression this year, but really, if I had been thinking about it differently and a little bit harder, I wouldn't have rated Merrill as highly as I did this year. It was one of those situations where I looked at the ending stats and I thought, wow, that was a pretty good season, and didn't really spend enough time looking at the underlying metrics. And the underlying metrics kind of showed you that there could be a problem there. He's picking it up now, but where he was going in drafts and where I took him, it was the kiss of death for that league.
Yeah.
And I think with Merrill too, I mean, they're very different in the sense of their chase, right? Merrill is notorious for, I mean, he's not a Sedan Raffaella, but his O-swing percentage is, up in that near 40% range. Whereas Anthony, in the sample that we've seen in the majors so far, is at 22.6%. So really good knowledge of the strike zone. Maybe could benefit from being a little bit more aggressive in the zone, as he only has a 57.6% in zone swing percentage. But yeah, they're different players. And I think tying back to our Raffaella discussion, we'll have time to talk about, Merrill during the offseason, but I think he's another one of those players that it could just be he had really bad variance because he's one of these, high chase rate players, and it just the hits weren't falling for him this season. And now we're seeing he's doing really well, and probably a guy that I'll buy in on and take the discount heading into next year. But
Right.
I think that's kind of one big takeaway for me this season is to really look at that chase rate and just kind of be cautious with those types of players, because if things don't bounce the right way, you could really get these extended slumps and kind of crush your team for a long period of time. All right, the player that I am looking at, and I have to do like a deeper dive into him, but I'm super intrigued by what I've seen from Connolly Early so far this season during his time in the majors. I didn't even know who this guy was, to be honest with you. I'm not a big, I don't, follow prospects too closely. And, I just heard of him when he came up, but looking at the numbers that he has put up since he's been with the Red Sox is really impressive. So Connolly Early, he's 23 years old. He's a left-hander starter for the Red Sox. Early was a 6th ranked prospect in the Red Sox system, according to Eric Longenhagen of Fangraphs heading into the year. He's taken a massive leap in terms of his performance this year. In 100 minor league innings split across Double and Triple A, Early's pitched to a 2.60 ERA with a 1.11 WHIP. What really jumps out to me about Early is the swing and miss that he's shown so far in the majors. Now, this is a very small sample. He's only pitched 10 innings, but everything under the hood looks great, including the stuff numbers for him. So his swinging strike rate in this small sample in the majors is 17.6% to go along with a 34.1% CSW. Both of those numbers are like elite ace level, right? I'm not expecting that to, carry over necessarily, but to show that even in this small sample, especially with one of his starts being on the road in Sacramento against the A's, which we know is a great hitter's ballpark, that's really, really encouraging. He's got 93rd percentile extension. Now, don't ask me what the hell the extension means, but the slider on StatCast for that is bright red. So I assume that's really good. Guys, that's really all the analysis I do. I hate to break it to you, but I just do colors. If blue, I don't want them. If it's red, I like them. I'm kidding, kind of. But the Stuff Plus, I mentioned, that also looks really good. Got a 101 Steph Plus, which is, not slightly above average. But what really jumped out to me is the Pitching Plus, which is 113. And that's like well above average. So he's showing really above average command at this point. And I think that's something I'm going to be really watching closely with him in these last few starts of the year, because his prospect grade was, as of early this season, was a 35 current value. So that's something that he already, there was a little bit of, that was seen as a weakness of his. He also walked nearly 10% of batters in the minors this season. So it's going to be interesting to see if the stellar control that he's shown so far is something that sticks. I think we can expect some regression there because I mean he's just never shown this level of command in the major or in his minor league career. And lastly, he's got a diverse pitch mix. He throws a four-seamer, a changeup, a curveball, sinker, slider, and sweeper. So just he checks a lot of boxes for me. So I'm going to be interested to see where his ADP falls. Hoping that Early has a late ADP in these early drafts that I could take advantage of. See what I did there?
Mhm.
To be honest, any puntable name gets a big boost in my rankings, which you can find on my Patreon. We are running a early bird special. $100 per month gets you in for all of next season. So sign up. I'll be posting the link in the show notes. I'm obviously joking. I'm not joining the Patreon wars anytime soon. Never say never though. But all right, guys, anything else on this Red Sox team that you think is notable? Let me ask you this, Mike. You're the bullpen guy. We've seen a historic season here from Aroldis Chapman. Is he someone that and it looks like he's going to be the capital C closer for the Red Sox next year. He signed a 1-year extension. Is he someone that you're going to say, I don't care about the age, or past performance issues? Are you going to take him what I would think is going to be in that like round 3 area where it seems like those capital C closers go? Like, are you comfortable with that, or do you have some doubts?
It's definitely a risk taking closers that high, but in our leagues that we play in, you have to, right? I mean, there is nothing to look at Chapman's season this year to think that he's slowing down. I mean, he's just had a terrific season, and we were talking a little bit about it off the air. The K rate was up over 37% this year, but the thing that was really remarkable was that he cut his walk rate literally in half to 6.5%. And I did a little bit of research on that and had been looking at that over the course of time, trying to figure out what he had done differently. And his command of his fastball and the command of his sinker have just been phenomenal. And some of that is given credit to Connor Wong, who on his PitchCom had put in a inside fastball marking that forced Chapman to be able to kind of command that pitch a little bit more and a little bit differently. If you look at the StatCast, it's kind of interesting because specifically looking at the fastball from 2024 to 2025, you can see where he was really trying to locate it. He's historically been a guy who throws it right down the middle and says, like, hit it, right? I mean, if you throw that fast, you don't have to be super precise. But as he's gotten a little bit older and has gotten a little bit more refined in what he does, his fastball, he's located at a higher top of the zone. And that's just much harder for a guy to hit than it is when it's center cut. And I think that that's led to a lot of the results for him. The slider has always been a pitch that he's had a hard time controlling, and he's had a little bit of difficulty with that this year in certain spots. But being able to locate the fastball and the sinker the way that he's done has been a master performance for him this year. I don't have any concerns about a fade for him, even though he's 37 at this age, at this point. I think that he can repeat that. The one thing that you got to worry about is, can he keep that walk rate there? Because if the walk rate goes back up to 12 or 13%, it could be a real slippery slope for him coming back down. But man, oh man, what a year he had. And I doubted it. I mean, I said before the season started that, I saw him in more of a setup role, and just based on necessity, Boston used him in that closer role. And he has been nothing short of a phenomenon this year.
Yeah, it's been unreal. And just an unreal career. I mean, the guy, he's still pumping 100 plus at his age and has really stayed healthy for the most part. Like, we don't see that, right? Guys throwing at that velocity for that long.
No,
and for him to have just one of the most dominant seasons for a reliever. It's been wild.
Well, and there's a lot of miles on that arm, right? I mean, he's pitched over 800 major league games. He's got 365 career saves. He's been in some really high octane situations in playoff races. It's just remarkable when you see the guy. You're like, how is a guy that's that age doing that? It's just kudos to him. I mean, I don't care for him much as a human being with some of the things that he's done off the field, but he is a remarkable phenomenon when it comes to baseball played.
Yeah, for sure. Dave, are you buying the Trevor Story resurgence?
I am, pretty much because he had a lot of bad luck coming into Boston. I know his injuries were pretty much bad luck. He had that shoulder injury from diving, and he had Tommy John as a hitter, which isn't really seen that often. And I think he even moved to a new city and had a baby, and it was just a complete weird few seasons to start. But he's been back, and he's looked good. He's got a lowest K rate for quite a while. He's doing it even with a low walk rate as well. And he's stealing at an incredible rate right now.
31 in the year, 31 steals in the year.
I wonder if is he playing for a contract? Is this like his contract year sort of thing, or is this the real thing? I'm buying in with him because I did think he would come back this year and do well, and I like what I've seen. He's had his ups and downs, but man, he's looked very good this year.
Yeah, and what a bargain he was in drafts. I wasn't buying in. I had him on one team, and I remember drafting him very reluctantly. I'm like, this is not going to work out. But man, what a season. 24 home runs, 31 stolen bases with a 266 average, 85 runs, 92 RBIs, just a really incredible year. So kudos to him for this bounce back. And as far as his contract status, he signed through 2027. Interesting, he can opt out after 2025, but the club can void that by exercising his 2028 option. So it'll be interesting to see what the Red Sox do there. If they want to give
30, he's 32, right? So
mm-hmm.
That's a tough call.
I hadn't seen that part
out, he could get another nice deal here. But let's see if the Red Sox are, thinking they want to keep him long term. That'll be, we'll talk to Chris in a minute here, and I think we'll have to ask him about that.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yep. All right, we are going to leave our segment there, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Chris Cotillo of Mass Live.